Schrodinger's air right now. Some of this is in the show and some of it's not.
Okay, well, the point is, I'm drinking instant coffee and it's not satisfying.
You know what's nice about water? All water is instant water. That's what I love about water.
Not necessarily. Not if you're out in the bush and you need to be using chlorine tabs. That's not instant water.
I was gonna say, is it chlorine or iodine? I always thought it was iodine.
No, iodine is for if there's
Thyroid?
been a nuclear strike
Yeah, it's like radiation
to
protection.
protect your thyroid from radioactive iodine.
Mhm. Similar idea, though.
I also, I, from working here, I've become increasingly more conscious of my accent. So I'm glad that we can be having this scientific conversation. No, no, bud. That's for right. That's for when there's a nuclear strike, right? You want
This
to
is an
make
Ontario
sure
accent that you have.
take your iodine tab. This is the rural Ontario
Yeah.
accent. Have I ever told you guys about the time I had a conversation in what I can only assume is bear language?
No.
Okay. So I'm at this cottage because it's what you do in Ontario.
Mhm.
So we're at this cottage and I get up and the father of the person we're there with is at the table and he's talking with the guy who um, he pays to plow out his driveway in the winter because otherwise you're just not getting into the driveway when you come to the cottage. And the father grew up in that area. It's in the Bancroft area. Shout out to my accent. It's not Bancroft, it's Bancroft.
Mhm.
Anyway, so they're sitting there and they're having this conversation, and the father is like, "Oh yeah, yeah, oh wow, that's interesting." But the guy's accent is so thick, I literally cannot understand it. Like to me, it sounds like Ford truck, spark plugs, wife, timeshare. So, like the words that pop out, like when you're listening to any other language,
Yeah.
are the words that aren't native to that language. So, like Ford truck, spark plugs,
Yeah.
wife, I was surprised about, but like those are just words that they didn't have natively in Bear. They had to just adopt the English,
Right.
timeshare, Ford truck, spark plugs. And so I'm sitting there with a coffee, kind of like marveling that this is a conversation that's happening because apparently the father speaks Bear. And my friend walks out and she says that, the first thing she sees is the two of them having a conversation and me just like hand on my head looking really incredulously towards what's happening across the table from me.
Nick, I love your stories because they are so rural Ontario. Like nobody else has had that experience. You disbelieve that you saw that conversation. I disbelieve that this entire situation took place.
Oh, there were witnesses.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately I believe it, but like I'm incredulous.
It's accents, man. They're fascinating.
Yeah.
Or if I'm here, I might say, I know, hey.
Thank
What?
you.
Who says that?
Everyone
You
in
all say
Alberta.
that.
No, we do not.
I
Every
get teased
last one of
endlessly.
you.
People who move from Toronto here say hey.
It's Toronto. There is actually like the O. I think like it was Toronto in the 90s, but I don't know. Everyone I talk to is I'm going to Toronto.
Because you got people say, man, it's really cold in Calgary, hey?
So, Mike, just
no.
to be clear, Nick and I are the only ones who've actually lived in both places, and I get made fun of endlessly for saying hey instead of a.
The first time that I heard it, I was in a shop or some such, and I was going through things. I said, "Oh, crazy weather we're having," and the lady goes, "I know, hey," and I actually stood up and looked around because I thought she was like telling, "Hey, what are you doing?" I was like, and I just kind of looked at her. What? She's like, What? I didn't say anything.
So, I've lived here my whole life, and
And so
I do
you
not.
don't hear it.
Yeah, you're
I
not
do not.
aware of it.
No, I
but
don't
it's
say it.
definitely-
I
You
definitely
do
don't say it. No, I do not.
Shout out to the rest of the Alberta Podcast Network
Agreed.
Trust
and like
me.
anyone who might be listening.
Trust me. I do not say hey.
You do not say a.
No, I always say a. That's
You
what
don't.
people say.
I guarantee you don't say it. You say hey.
Wait,
I promise.
next time I say hey in that context of a declaration of whatever
Canadianness.
the
It's
Canadianness.
it's like where I think Californians would say, huh? Like, I know, huh? We would say, I know, eh? And you would say, I know, hey.
Do not say hey. I can
You
guarantee
do.
I do not.
There's so many of you that do, if you do not.
Mike,
That's fine.
You do. I promise.
I may or may not. That may or may not be true, but I do not say hey. That just
That's what
sounds.
they all say.
So I'm gonna push us into follow up here because this could go on forever.
Yeah, we could just argue forever on Mike.
The first
Mike,
point.
Mike.
Yes. The first point of follow up here, I just need to say it because I always need to say it. SpaceX launched another rocket and landed successfully. This one was the first time they reused a rocket to launch stuff to the ISS, and they did it. And actually, I was watching Twitter this morning, and the Dragon capsule docked to the ISS this morning. That's it. SpaceX is doing good stuff. That's actually a handy transition because it's mostly Elon Musk doing good stuff. Do you want to tell us about what he's been doing recently on the ground?
Before we move on from that,
Mm.
we don't have it in the notes, but I just remembered as you're talking about that I guess Boeing did some sort of like declaration of space race.
Oh, they did, yeah.
Yeah, it's hard when you have this show every month because then stuff happens and you forget about it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I guess the CEO, I want to say president, whatever of Boeing was like, we're gonna beat Elon to Mars.
Yeah.
And then Mars was like, do it.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is this happening concurrently with Boeing suing Canada?
Yes,
Did Boeing
technically.
suing Canada?
Well, they're involved in a trade dispute.
With Bombardier?
Bombardier, yeah.
What did I say?
I didn't actually hear the end of what you said.
You both said
I just-
Bombardier.
I just wanted to make sure that I had said Bombardier.
I didn't
Actually,
say Bombardier.
Mike said Bombardier and Nick said Bombardier.
So the connection isn't 100%. We're almost there.
Did I say Bombardier?
Yes.
No, this isn't. I don't think this is like another.
Another regional thing.
I don't know what the last thing you said. It was just like, this isn't another archipelago.
Okay, so yes, Mike, I do remember reading that basically Boeing tried to challenge Elon to a Mars race, and Elon basically said like, let's do it. Which is exciting to have especially two private companies being able to kind of vie for this. Will make it happen a lot faster than if it's just Elon and like Jeff Bezos and Blue Origin doing their little like pop-up drop tests.
I don't know. Like, I just feel, I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that. I still feel like Elon's got it. And I also kind of wish that Elon had said, come at me, bro. Because it just seems like an Elon Musk thing to say in that situation.
Come at me, Bo.
Oh,
Come at me, Bo. Dang. Yeah. Yeah, I see you there. With your second rate or non-existent
Space program
series equivalent.
What are you saying?
I'm trying to call out the trade dispute. I realize I'm actually pretty foggy on the details. I think it's the C series. Yeah, it's the C series, and they don't have like that intermediate passenger jet size at Boeing, but they're still going through the dispute.
Is that Nick? Do you watch Wendover Productions on YouTube? Have you heard of it?
No.
Okay, because he recently put out a video. He loves talking about planes. And he recently put out a video about some kind of dispute. Like he loves talking about different sizes of planes, and I think this might be the topic of that video. So it might help clarify some things, but it might also be just a different video. So I'm not going to hang my hat on that.
I hope that I could bring that clarity to you.
Yeah, once you like, because I know you are interested in that kind of stuff, I think you will follow this channel once you find out it exists.
It's more politics that I'm interested in. It's not the planes themselves.
No, but he does talk about the politics, though. Like, he gets into a little bit of technical details about the planes, but he's mostly talking about what the story is, like the politics of planing.
I do like politics.
Do you want to tell us about what Elon's doing on the ground, though, now that there's no good transition from it? Your follow-up story.
Talking to me?
Yes.
What is my story about that?
Do this? Nick, I told you before the show I put your stories in here.
I don't know which stories you put in there.
We're in follow-up.
Before you get to that, I just want to say this. I found the video, so I'll put a link to it in the notes. But it's called The Little Plane War. And the thumbnail is literally a picture of a plane with the words Bombardier versus Boeing. So I'm pretty sure this is what you're talking about.
I'm glad we could bring that clarity to you. So this isn't actually Elon Musk doing anything. This is just, well, yeah, okay, it is. Anheuser-Busch has ordered 40 of the new Tesla ground transportation trucks. And that's basically the story. There's like, I think they're paying a little extra for the Founders series of trucks, and everyone's going for the bigger battery, I guess, so that they have more battery life, longer
range.
Yes. Oh my God, this coffee is not doing its job this morning. I'm so sorry to everybody. Yeah, so new trucks are coming online, new trucks are coming out, and the large beer producers are all in.
Yeah.
Once again, beer driving the future of Western civilization.
The thing that I like about this is Anheuser-Busch, also known as the Brewers of Budweiser, they were better known as, maybe not also known as, but they come out on top of this looking like the good guys of, wow, they're so ecologically conscious, so environmentally forward thinking.
I totally forget about how terrible that beer is.
Aside from that, the main aspect is the fuel savings, because they ship a lot of beer back and forth across the country and the world. So I guess there was a quote or a statement by Tesla saying that most truck operators should be able to save enough money on fuel to make up the entire purchase price, so full $200,000 in just 2 years, which is pretty crazy.
Impressive.
That's impressive. And I know last time we've talked about the electric cars and how usually like a consumer isn't going to make back their cost of the vehicle and fuel savings. But with these, because like they just use it so much, there's just so much fuel used with these vehicles that it is possible, I guess, to make back your money, which is insane.
So I don't actually remember when I saw this, but at one point there was a picture on Reddit of someone's income tax, and they were a truck driver, like a self-operating truck driver. They got paid like $500,000 a year, but most, like the lion's share of that went to fuel.
Right.
Huh.
It was incredible. Like I wouldn't be surprised at all.
So because all I do is watch YouTube these days, I have another YouTube clip. This is another good channel that I just recently started watching called Real Engineering. And he put up a video 2 days ago called The Truth About the Tesla Semi Truck. And apparently like similar to your trucking stats, there's a trucking stat mentioned in this video that driving trucks across the US accounts for 20% of their greenhouse gas emissions. And so first of all, that's crazy. But apparently there's a maximum weight that a truck can have in order to be street legal, like maximum total weight. And so the trade-off between the smaller truck and the bigger truck, or the smaller and bigger battery capacity, is it reduces, if you have a bigger battery capacity, it increases your range, but it reduces the amount of stuff like payload you can actually have.
Oh,
So that would be the trade-off that they're making when they order the bigger batteries. It means you have more range, less payload.
Right.
So if your trucks are leaving half full anyways, because you want to do it more often, then it makes sense to go for the bigger range. Whereas if you're going for like long haul, maximum capacity trucks, then you'd go for the smaller battery.
must suck to be engineers. There's just always a trade-off.
I know. You can't have it all.
Yeah. At least the math is pretty straightforward, though.
Sure. Compared to other disciplines,
Right.
engineering has the math pretty easy.
It's a very well, not engineering in general, just this type thing where fuel economy versus payload, like it's value of your payload versus cost of shipping, and you
Right.
find the peak of that.
Hmm.
I guess differential equation.
Yep.
Yeah.
I actually really like differential equations, and I'm sad I didn't go further with it.
Me too.
That's all I have to say. Let's all become engineers.
I don't want to become an engineer. I just have to note, I went and looked up because I was curious.
Rob already has his cushy government job. He doesn't need that extra.
The XKCD comic on purity of fields, I feel also kind of relates to the complexity of mathematics you have to do. And I just want to say that engineering is not even on the purity chart. So the mathematics can't be that complicated.
It's true.
Mm.
Well, based on this cartoon I once read,
we can't go at one episode without having an XKCD comic in the notes.
It's contractual
rule. Yeah. So, Mike, I have to bring this up now as our last piece of follow-up, because you've been blocking me from talking about it for like 6 weeks now, at least. I wanted to give a brief. Actually, I wanted to get all of our brief Soylent updates now that it's not available in Canada, because I know, Mike, you have a story that you can at least give like a 30-second update on. And Nick, I'm assuming you still have powder, but you're not having it because you can't now.
We'll talk when we get to my update.
Okay. So my update is I'm very, very sad because now I have to be a lot more, I have to put a lot more thought into food. It's like if you wore a uniform to work every day and then suddenly they're like, you don't have to wear a uniform anymore. I'd be like, but it was so easy. I just grab it and go.
On that note,
yeah,
if you don't have a uniform for work, just wear a suit. Just wear the suit. But it's a truth you can't refute. Nothing suits you like a suit.
My work uniform is jeans and a button-up shirt. So, like, whatever button-up shirt. I just want to say, so for me, for Soylent, I have one bottle left at home in case of emergency and one bottle left at work in case of emergency. And that's it. I'm basically saving them for a point when I really need it, because I'm very sad. So, Mike, what did you end up doing with your Soylent?
Well, before we move on, what's your plan once you run out?
I don't have one. What am I supposed to do? I don't want to go find another weird powdery replacement.
There are various DIY replacement
I don't want
recipes.
a DMY. Wait.
DIY.
DIM.
Oh.
Do it myself.
Sorry. Yeah.
I would, but I don't want to.
More coffee.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't have a plan.
My current status is I have, I think, maybe like 2 bottles left of original. My last box that arrived. And I have 1 box of powder left that I am selling on Friday because I don't like the powder. And after that, I'm kind of at the same point where I don't know what I'll be doing. So, I mean, it was good while it lasted, I guess.
I hope it'll be back.
Like, I don't want to start drinking Boost. That's disgusting.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
Vile. Like, why would you do such a thing?
Yeah. I don't know. Like, it was just perfect. And then the Food and Drug, I guess not the FDA. What is it here?
CFIA, Canada
Yeah.
Food Inspection Agency.
They're just being jerks, basically.
Oh man,
Basically.
do we want to do ISO corner? Because I also have beef with the CFIA.
I'm
Like, they're
curious to
causing
hear
me a lot of problems at work right now.
Well,
Okay.
give us
Not a lot of problems. It's just a
your
pain in.
first.
So my Soylent update, I haven't had it in a long while. Although I think I might have figured out the ingredient that was causing me a problem, and I think it's soy lecithin.
Oh,
I don't
interesting.
I don't know if it's particularly soy lecithin or lecithin in general, but I was going to say longtime listeners, but I don't think I've ever mentioned it on the show. Whereas one of Rob's weaknesses is crackers, and I share that weakness. That weakness, crackers are delicious. One of my weaknesses is O. Henry.
I also love O. Henry's.
It's
Like too much.
continuing on the accent and rural nature of my speech. O. Henry just has a real nice chaw to it.
Mm.
Real nice, real satisfying chaw.
Is that like mouthfeel?
No,
Feels good in the mouth.
mouthfeel is how it feels in the mouth, and a chaw is how it feels to chew.
Oh, it's so similar.
You city slicker. So I got two O. Henrys for some outrageously low price because they were sitting by the till and I have no impulse control.
Mm.
And after eating one, I waited like 20 minutes later, I was having a little more trouble breathing and I went, "Oh my God. I remember this feeling. This is the Soylent feeling." And so I rushed to grab the box of Soylent we still have and read off the ingredients and then compare it to the ingredients on the chocolate bar wrapping. And the one commonality that jumped out at me was soy lecithin, because I don't think glucose fructose is the problem.
I was
'Cause
gonna say,
otherwise, I can't eat
sure it wasn't
basically
the-
anything.
it's like, are you sure it wasn't the water in it?
Yeah, because like lecithin's a thickener, and it
Yeah.
always felt like my throat was extra like constricted or gunky. So if there was thickener in there, like maybe that, or I think that's what lecithin is. I could be completely wrong, but anyway, I think that might be my problem.
I was gonna
Lecithin.
say lecithin's in a lot of stuff
Yeah.
from what ingredients I've read. So that's interesting.
Yeah,
Is
Very
that
unfortunate.
got to keep an eye out.
thing to have a sensitivity to lecithin?
Still not
I have no
sure,
idea.
but I don't know. We'll figure it out over the long term. But anyway, breakfast for me is peanut butter on toast. Feel like some Neanderthal. Sometimes I have hummus if I want to go to Flavor Town, but it's just not as filling because, as Soylent drinkers will know, high high fat things are very sating.
Yeah. That's been
And I
my
mean, hummus
biggest
has a lot of fat in it too, but not as much
right.
as butter, I guess.
That's been my biggest difference that I've noticed between having Soylent and having like other food is that the amount I eat doesn't fill me up as much if it's not Soylent.
Yeah. Although people tell me I've lost weight, so maybe it's probably not causally linked.
Yeah.
I'm just sad.
Me too. So my other update in Future of Food, our Future of Food segment, as Mike so aptly called it, is I started, well, now it's been a while. Now it's been probably about a month and a half, 2 months. I started ordering a subscription meal delivery service. So one of the things will send you the ingredients and you cook whatever, like they give you a recipe and the right portion sizes and all that. The one that we got is called Chef's Plate, and this is not an ad for that service, although I have found it a reason to actually kind of cook and stuff and spend time with Julia, where otherwise in the evening we might like just sit on the couch watching TV. This kind of forces you to be together and work as a team and talk. And it's just like, it's more, it's not like my favorite thing in the world. Like I can cook, but I don't love it.
It's not that I like talking or interacting with Julia. It's just, I feel like I have to at some points.
No, it's a nice benefit of that, because it gives us some like a common goal to achieve together, and I feel like it's a
The
if
goal of food.
So, just before we continue, Rob, cooking together has not been successful for Maria and myself because
Okay.
I always feel that she's doing things wrong, and I want to like help her and show her the right way to do things.
Are you
But then
mansplaining to her how to cook?
I'm showing. I want to show her the way I would do it, but she
Right.
doesn't appreciate that. So it's
my
like
only thing, like I think Kai and I can cook together. We have in the past. The only problem is if I'm the one that's cooking, I need everyone else to get out of the kitchen.
Okay.
how is
Because
that any different than what I said?
oh no, because like you're helping or you're at least trying to help. But like if I'm in the kitchen, especially if I'm making breakfast, where timing is really important because you want to have the potatoes ready at around the same time as the eggs are ready, at around the same time as the bacon
Yeah.
is ready. And so that it's heavily timing dependent. So
But that's
you
what I
end up
mean.
running around a lot. And so if you're not actively helping, get the hell out of my way. Get the hell out of my kitchen.
But that's what I mean. When we're cooking together, like Maria will put something on. I'm like, why are you cooking that already? And it's like, whatever. I'm like, well, it needs to be ready at this time. And it's like, why is
That's not
why
helping. That's criticizing.
why is the pan that hot? It's not supposed to be that hot. And yeah, it just downhill from there.
Yeah.
I bet it is. I'm not at all surprised.
The one so in addition to the societal and general communication kind of boost that this has given me, I have found it like it is the cooking equivalent of Soylent in that it doesn't just give you nutrients that you open a bottle and drink, but it does give you exactly what you need to kind of have a healthy dinner 3 times a week. And I do kind of appreciate like having a work uniform. Like you don't have to think about what you are making that day. You just like open the bag, take out the ingredients, and then start following the instructions. I don't know. I definitely recommend people try it from whatever service you can, but it feels more expensive than buying groceries, even if it probably isn't overall. Like the one we have probably costs about $11 a plate, but you get, I guess, actually it's
That's
not
cheaper
$11 a
than
plate.
eating out, but it's not cheaper than groceries.
Right. It's more diverse than groceries, and it in a way like because you end up getting like we've had meals that have Brussels sprouts in them like 4 times where and they're actually it was actually pretty good. Like I enjoyed eating food that I otherwise wouldn't have bought at the grocery store, and like it's 10 or it's $11 a plate because the meals are built to serve two, and so at 2 plates it's $11. But if we plate the meals in half, it's way too much food for either of us. So we usually get three. Like Julia's lunch also comes out of it, so it's really more like $4 a plate. Wait,
What? Eight?
that's not right. That's not right.
$8 a plate.
Sorry, I split it in. Yeah.
Two plates at $22, but it stretches to 3.
No. It's more like $8. Sorry.
That's what I just said.
Yeah. No,
$8.
I doubled down on my my division.
Yeah.
What I'm hearing is that I need to come over because I genuinely need and want to practice this. I just can't eat it all the time.
Right.
I need to come over and practice my spaghetti carbonara for you. And
I wouldn't mind that.
oh, it's so good. The chief ingredient is pork fat. It's so good.
The most
And
interesting. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, no, it'll come in at much less than $22 a package.
Well, I know there. I'm not saying like it's not. It's definitely not the cheapest thing, but you also like that includes delivery. That includes
That
like it just shows
includes
up at your door.
showing up and having a delightful chat with you while you give him a beer while he makes your dinner.
Oh, I would love to have you here. Like it's
I would love to come there.
if you become my delivery person, we can just do that.
Solid.
Uh,
I'll just give
so
up on all my other career ambitions. I'm a private chef. No, I basically work for room and board.
So, Rob, how long does it take you guys to prepare these meals?
it's I would say half hour. Like it's written 30 minutes on most of them. Some of them are like 25 minutes, but yeah, it's a half within a half hour they're done.
Interesting.
It One of the best things about this service for me is that the meat that they send you is really good quality. Like we are now like when we're now making like a roasted or baked or whatever steak a lot more than we like. I've never cooked a steak that way before. I've never actually cooked a steak in my life, like on a barbecue or anything, but just like searing a piece of meat and then putting it in the oven with some potatoes and Brussels sprouts. That was one of the meals this past week. Like I would never have cooked anything like that in my life. But when they give it to you in a bag, it makes it quite a bit easier to just go and follow the instructions and do it.
Do they have a sponsorship program?
They have a like an affiliate program. So
Ooh.
if I have a link that I can give, and if you sign up with it, I get a couple meals free, and you get 50% off your first order.
What?
Well, you get 50% off your first order anyways, but
Could
This
literally feed Rob.
this is not.
what I'll say is this is literally not a sponsorship, but if you are curious and want to help me eat, then get in touch with me. But I'm not going to put the link in because honestly, like I don't want this to be an ad. I like the food, but I like food. Like that's the thing with Soylent. Like we could tie this all up. I like Soylent. I like the convenience of it, but I also really like food. I don't know why this is so funny, but it's true.
Okay, I think we saved it, guys.
Wait, how would we have not saved it?
I don't know.
I'm so
I'm
happy.
happy you're happy, Rob.
I'm very happy.
Let's all be happy together.
You know what would make me even happier, Mike, is if you would move us out of follow up and into the deals that have been going on this week with data plans.
Yeah, this is a weird thing. It kind of came out of nowhere. I just started seeing people posting about it on Facebook.
Mhm.
I guess people were talking about how such and such a carrier, cell phone carrier here in Canada was offering 10 gigabytes for $60. And then before you know it, every carrier was offering this like exact same deal, like at the same time. And I was actually at the mall yesterday, and a handful of the booths had that same deal, saying, "Oh, this weekend only, whatever."
Yeah.
And every so often, this kind of thing kind of comes up. Usually, it's one of the carriers saying, "Hey, if you switch to us, we'll give you this sweet deal, either like a free phone or whatever rate on their data plan or something."
Yep.
And a lot of the other carriers will respond, so to speak, to that
Yep.
that offer. So that's what happened this past weekend, and like 10 gigabytes for $60 is pretty good, especially compared to what's available right now. And my concern, I guess, is that whenever you sign for any plan, and I don't know the details of how like what restrictions there are on the carrier changing the rates
Yeah.
or whatnot, but it's like they'll offer you this plan, but they could just change it or take it away or whatever at any point, basically.
I don't think so.
Well,
You're signing a 2-year
that,
deal.
well, that's where I don't know because like with cable or internet, like the ISPs are able to say, "Hey, we're increasing your rate by $5. We're adding whatever fee or that kind of thing." And I feel like carriers can do the same, but
Mhm.
I don't know the specifics of the contract. Like, say if someone switched to this plan, are they locked into that rate for that period of time,
Right.
or can it change or whatever? And I guess the other part is after that plan is up, like after that 2 years, can they then take it away or change the rate at that point? Like, it just feels very non-permanent.
With this particular plan, I think some of the carriers have said you do get to keep it past the 2 years, and other ones have said there's a 5 GB bonus for the first 24 months, and then you drop down to 5 GB. So I think it kind of depends what your carrier is, but I know typically you can negotiate things like this where they'll just, like, at the end of the 2 years, they'll be like, oh, do you want to change your contract? We had a new phone, and you can be like, no, and I'm going to leave you and go to another carrier if you don't keep the 10 GB going. They'll probably just extend you.
I have heard of them like deprecating plans though. Just carriers in general, they'll say we're no longer offering this plan, switch to a current plan, or forever hold your peace and get out of here.
But I think they can only actually do that if you they can entice you with it, signing up for a new plan. Like, they'll say you can't get any discount on a phone unless you sign up for a new plan. But they can't, like, if they could, I feel like they would have with you and I.
But we're on a different band though, or at least I am. You should be, but
That's what I mean.
I'm not on the LTE band right now. So as far as they're concerned, like, I'm not taking up any of their high demand bandwidth.
I guess so.
Keep me on it. For you, I guess you just flown under the radar enough that
yes,
you haven't been switched over. But yeah. I think in theory we're supposed to be on that lower bandwidth, lower speed band.
Maybe, but
so we're kind of out of the main flow of traffic. So that, like, they're just collecting our $50 a month, right?
Maybe. Yeah, I don't really know that much about the like network details of this, the ISP details, obviously, because I don't work for them. But
not ISP, but carrier.
They're internet service providers, just mobile.
Works. But I've actually seen a lot of people making these switches to other carriers.
Yeah.
Some have done like their loyalty route and called their carrier and said, "Can you match this offer?" kind of thing. But like, it's good. It's good for competition. It's just I'm still clinging to my grandfather plan with my alive warm fingers.
Right. The other thing to note with this plan, at least on Fido, I'm sure it's with other carriers as well, is that it's only if you bring your own device.
Yeah, I think I've heard that detail.
So if you want to get the plan and you don't already have a phone with a plan paid off, with a plan paid off, then you'll have to pay full price for whatever phone you get with it.
Right.
And it means that, like, it doesn't make financial sense for customers who are already on a plan to sign up for it. It's trying to get people on older plans to sign up.
Yeah, unless you're paying like $100 a month right now, which some people do.
Yeah, maybe, but it's still a pretty hard sell.
Yeah, like you'd have to definitely crunch the numbers a bit to see if it makes it worth it for you to do it.
Yeah, I am curious if it's possible. Like, Julia has on her new phone that she got a month ago, she now has like a $385 like buyout amount. So I think it might be possible to buy her out of that and then sign her up for this plan. But I don't actually know how that works. I should probably check it out because I think the deals expire on the 19th, the 10 gig ones. But yeah, so like I said, like, keeping that in mind, it does expire on the 19th. So if you're curious about these phone plans and want 10 gigabytes, which I must vouch for is great, having like a much higher data limit, you don't even have to think about it.
Yeah.
Kind of amazing.
And I think this is, at least for Alberta, I'm not sure about other provinces, like where else they're offering rates.
BC, Alberta, and Ontario.
Okay. Because Saskatchewan and Quebec
Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Quebec already have
competitive plans. Yeah.
What we call the populous provinces.
The thing that I think gets me the most is that you can get a plan, like a plan with unlimited calling, for instance, unlimited talk and text with no data for $40 with bring your own phone. Like I'm on Fido's website right now, and they offer unlimited talk and text, $40 a month, and that would suggest that the connection to the network is $40 per month because that's what they're charging you, which means that this plan, $60 a month for 10 gigabytes, is an extra $20 for 10 gigabytes. And I would pay an additional $20 for 10 gigabytes over and over and over and over again, but that's not available, even though it doesn't really make reasonable sense why it shouldn't be.
Google, if you're listening, please come to Canada.
That's the idea of Project Fi.
Yeah, and Sugar Mobile before they got run out of the country.
And Wind Mobile, and Public before they got out.
Well, yeah, no,
and like literally every other player that's ever come to Canada.
So Wind got bought, so you can't.
That's freedom. They still have those kind of deals.
But Sugar was the one that was essentially trying to do what Google Fi is doing.
Oh, okay.
Where it's like pay per megabyte type model, but they just piggybacked on the existing infrastructure, and the other carriers didn't like that.
Yep.
So.
I bet they didn't. Who are these people making money? That should be our money. Why aren't we making that money? Oh, my levels moved again. Sorry, Rob.
Yeah, I do find it curious. I think Public Mobile also got bought by Bell.
I thought Public was Rogers, but
maybe
doesn't actually matter.
No, it doesn't.
It depends on what color your favorite color is, and that's basically
pretty much.
I
do find it curious. We often talk on this show in the past years. We've often talked about like one carrier has planned a $5 per month rate hike for all of their customers, and then simultaneously all the other carriers like also hike their rates by $5 a month. We don't often hear about like a major drop or like substantial better plan like this, but it is still...
Someone hasn't read the relevant game theory as it applies to oligopolies.
No, but this is still collusion. Like this is still all the carriers doing the exact same thing in the same time period.
I mean, that sounds more like competition than collusion.
I was going to say, that's what competition is. That's what the market's supposed to do, is respond to
this changing. Is actually like, this is the first time in living memory that I can recall the market actually doing what a competitive market is supposed to do as it applies to Canadian telecoms.
I'm not sure this is competition though, because this is going to go away and everyone's going to be back to the same. Like it's not competition to see a competitor drop their prices and then drop your price to the exact same price with the exact same plan. Like that's not competition. That's just a timed thing to juice the market.
Sounds a lot like competition.
Well, that is competition. What would competition be?
Like, here's a plan that's
competition is like, I get to keep my old plan, but also get talk and text for like $10 a month. That's what competition is, guys. Come on.
That's not what I'm saying.
They have it in Europe.
Rob, at that point, it's just like a race to the bottom. Like the competition is where the price of things adjusts to what the market motivates it to be.
I guess what I'm saying is if we saw one carrier come out with a plan like this that was quite a bit better than other carriers, and then we saw the carriers one by one kind of follow suit and like drop their plans, but that's not what this is. This is like a one weekend blitz.
Right.
All the carriers, like one carrier did it first, and then all the other carriers immediately matched it, like immediately within like a day or two, and then all said it's going to expire after this weekend.
No, I agree that this is a non-ideal offer because, like you said, it expires, and I still don't think the plan itself is like sustainable. Like you said, some carriers are saying only 5 carry through. Only I think I saw one that was like 7+3 instead of 5+5. But
right,
either way, they're kind of not going all in on the 10
on better
gigabyte
plans.
Thing. And it's only for a limited time, which is kind of silly.
What we're trying to say here is that we're officially launching Nonprofit Mobile. It's the cell phone carrier that does not make a profit. We will offer everything at cost after we three are paid, and also we have server space for future chat.
This is not at cost. I guarantee you they're still making money on this plan.
No. But if you launched nonprofit mobile, you would destroy the competition, Rob. You would absolutely eviscerate it because they still want to make a profit.
Yes, I agree.
That's competition, Rob. Go for it. Compete.
That would be a
Win.
type of competition.
That would be the best competition.
I don't think it's a good
for
type.
consumers.
Mm-hmm.
Why? People are
Like,
still making money.
Wind was still making money because they got bought.
And this is your opportunity to destroy them.
I'm not sure what your argument is because it doesn't seem like you're arguing that the telecoms are doing a good thing.
I'm calling you a little bit of ridiculous.
I don't want $10 a month plans. Like I think
No. Okay, that's like not a good. That's not a literal example.
Yeah.
My criticism of your criticism is that I think you have unrealistic expectations of what competition looks like.
Well, okay, maybe this is competition-ish, but it's not like it's competition for one weekend.
And so that's how it starts.
I hope.
Maybe someone gets ambitious and says, maybe if we drop a little more, we'll steal more of that market share.
Mm-hmm.
And then someone else does it, and then someone else, and then suddenly we actually have the competition we deserve as consumers.
Right. The way I see it right now, we're in the land that we were with broadband internet like 5 or 6, 7 years ago, where people are offering they're starting to offer more and more data, but it's still really expensive. And I think we are going to start seeing unlimited data plans come around again, or at least a lot higher data caps from some. It might be like a smaller company. It might not be one of the big three right away, but I do think we're going to start seeing that. Like these deals are getting to that point.
Yeah, like I think for most people, say 90% of people, 10 gigabytes is effectively unlimited.
Yeah, it is effectively. Like it's an order of magnitude more than some people are going to use.
Yeah. And that other 10%, they shouldn't be penalized for using that much because on average it still works out.
Yeah.
Right. Like most people aren't abusing it.
Right.
We're not doing like hundreds of gigabytes every month. So I'm sure some people are, but I think as long as you're just using it for regular stuff and not abusing it, then you should be allowed to do it.
Yeah.
For a reasonable price.
What I want is the tech savvy of mobile companies, like a company where I can go and sign up for a 50 gigabyte plan for like $75 or $100 a month. Like I would pay I'm willing to pay for more data. I'm just not willing to pay like $250 a month for 30 gigs, which is at one point was Roger's highest data plan. Like that's ridiculous.
You're saying if you didn't have the plan you have now, you'd do that.
Yeah.
Like you would switch to that plan.
I would switch to that plan to get the other benefits of having a modern phone plan.
Like what? What other benefits are you missing right now?
I'm saying in theory. I'm not looking.
You're not making any sense. Like you have all the benefits of a modern phone plan. I don't, because I don't have LTE speeds. So I actually would have a reason to switch. Right? That's the only thing that someone would be missing with a grandfathered unlimited plan is if they didn't already have the LTE speeds.
Right. And there are things that are improved on modern plans, but I don't really use them.
Like what?
Like even like I only have 150 minutes of local data. Like it would theoretically be a benefit to me.
Data?
What?
Minutes of local data.
Sorry, not data. Local like call minutes. Like I only have 150 daytime minutes. That are local. I have no Canada-wide calling at all.
Guys, so this conversation is headed straight into the toilet. And speaking of the toilet, it brings us to my story, which we can take to follow,
so Nick,
follow through and go home.
Can I wrap up with one more sentence?
No, because I think you and Mike are just going to keep arguing about cell phones, and it's exhausting.
I don't think we were arguing. We were agreeing.
Were you? Were you really? Mike, would you describe that as like a heated agreement you were just having?
I'm trying to understand Prob's way of thinking, which if history...
It's inscrutable, just don't bother.
If history says anything that's less successful than it is often hoped for.
My one my one biggest thing that a modern phone plan would have that I don't have is that it has unlimited Canada-wide calling,
Okay.
and I only have 150 daytime local minutes. Like
Right.
that's the kind of feature that I would theoretically, again, that doesn't really apply to me because I just use like I have been there with this so long that I just use Hangouts
Right.
for all my
See,
calling. But
my plan is like a super old, like I think it's called like City Zone or
right.
something. So as long as I'm within my city, I have unlimited calling.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't use it that much, but
Exactly.
it's nice to not have to worry about it.
Okay, Nick, what's your story?
Well, it's been a long. Sorry, as Mike said, it's been a long time since we've had a good poop story,
It has.
and we have another poop story today. The headline reads: "Tools made of astronaut poop could solve." Oh no, my window isn't wide enough. Come on, CBC. Come on.
It's right there in the notes.
Tools made of astronaut poop could solve space problems as U of C project flushes competition in Boston.
Also, shout out to UFC.
And shout out to my writing staff for finding this story.
Yes. Yes.
A shout out to CBC because they're great.
Let's
And
all
shout out
just
to Poop.
let's all just love public broadcasters. Yeah, shout out to Poop for
Making the
just
story possible.
always being there for us.
Even
No,
when you don't
so
want it to be.
so these researchers at the UFC modified E. coli bacteria to excrete like I don't know whether it's plastic monomers or actual full-fledged particles of plastic, but they metabolize poop and then excrete the building blocks or, whatever of plastics. And so this is incredibly useful for space travel because if you have a 3D printer and you have a plastic feedstock, you could just print whatever you might need while you're up there. And I mean, because we have it with us at all times, anywhere we live, there will always be poop to use.
As long as there are people.
Yeah, I mean,
But I
the
guess
robots
that's
haven't replaced astronauts fully
Mhm.
quite yet.
Yeah.
I didn't see anywhere in the article the ratio of poop to plastic that one would need.
Oh, I imagine it's a
Like,
lot of poop to a little bit of plastic, but I'm also
yeah.
sure that the technology can be improved. Fun note, they weren't using actual poop for this experiment, which I think could potentially be viewed as a weakness of it. They actually have a recipe for simulated poop, which has caused much consternation and disagreement among the researchers because one researcher thinks it has a pleasing smell to it, and the other says that it's a smell that only a mother could love. I'm not actually sure mothers like the smell of poop, but
Well,
you
it's your own
guys can
baby.
update.
Yeah, it's your own baby, so it's fine.
You're not
It
a
smells like
mother,
carrot.
though.
That's okay.
Smells
Smell
like
poop.
carrots?
Yeah. Well, if your baby's eating carrots, then your poop smells like carrots.
Fascinating.
So, yes, you can build, like in this case, they built a screwdriver and a wrench out of poop. But the real test would be,
It wasn't out of poop. It was out of the plastic the E. coli generated from the poop.
So it's out of poop.
You
If
make
you
it
get
sound
down
like
to
a
it.
poop wrench.
Okay, so Nick, what I'm asking is, if I built you a spoon out of this, would you eat with it?
So long as it was properly cleaned.
What, like, how would you need it to be cleaned? Like with
Do they
hot water
have
and soap?
Do they have autoclaves in space?
No. At least
Are
not
you
ones
sure?
that they would use for the dishes.
Well, no, not for dishes, but like I'm sure they sterilize something.
Okay, so as long as the material that was used to make it was sterilized at some point.
Keeping fully in mind that every little bit of water they drink is recycled urine. Like,
Yeah.
I think you have to have a certain level of comfort with such ideas if you're going to live in space.
I suppose, although that's
Also,
a little
they never
different.
use spoons. Everything's in pouches.
So they have a picture of the wrench that they made.
Yes.
And it's definitely an IKEA wrench, like at best.
Oh, A, how useful is it? Like, what can it actually do? And B, there's no scale. So there's no way to tell how big this wrench actually is.
Okay, so it's like the tables have reversed because every time you guys talk about like the weirdest cell phone thing, and I go, "How useful is this actually?" And you guys are like, "No, because like the US sets the stage for the rest of the world, and so this could change everything." And I'm like, "Uh-huh, whatever." And so I'm like, "Guys, there's this cool basic research project that just happened, and they're making tools from poop." And you guys are like, nah, but like, what's the strength of the plastic? Like, this just seems derivative and boorish. And I'm like, no, guys, it's a proof of concept. It could be improved. Yeah.
I don't think Mike was saying that.
I'm just trying to figure out what they're trying to tell us is like what are we supposed to be excited about? Just the fact that it can be done, or that the thing that they're doing is like, oh, now we don't have to bring wrenches up to space.
I mean, A, this is a cool, no one's saying that. A, this is a cool, like, research project because they beat out a bunch of other competition to win some manner of prize. But B, with the advent of 3D printing, you can just like, I don't know, say you have a hole in the hull and you need a cork real quick. That's a terrible
Don't 3D
example.
print it.
Yeah, that's an awful example because 3D printers actually take a while. But I think this is setting the stage for like self-sustained long-term space travel
Yeah, I agree.
because you'll always have access to poop as long as there are people there, and it seems like there will be.
Mm.
And like then you don't it's not nearly as critical that you are aware of all your needs before you actually leave because you could make things as necessary
Right.
from poop.
Okay. So Nick, you're telling me that they're packing their bags and saying, "Hey, should we bring this wrench?"
No, it's if the
we're not-
wrench breaks.
We're not going to need a wrench up in space. Let's just leave it here.
The
We'll bring
wrench
the
is
We'll bring
like,
the 3D printer instead.
That's not at all what he's saying.
that is not at all what I'm saying.
Mike, what
I
if
would
your
argue that
space
you are
wrench
pooping
breaks?
on my poop story, Mike.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's cool that you can 3D print poop.
That's
I-
not
I
what
just-
it is.
I don't
Mike.
see the utility of it.
Mike, what if you need a second wrench at any point in your 3-year trip to Mars, and you can't just go down to the local hardware store and get another wrench? You need to make one, and this is
What
a way to
happened to
make.
my first wrench?
What?
Say it broke. Say you
it
had
flew
something
out
that
into
broke
space.
unexpectedly.
It's gone. Forget the wrench. It's gone. You don't have a wrench anymore, and you're in space.
This isn't a believable hypothetical situation.
What if it broke? What if your wrench broke?
I would have brought a second?
What if your second wrench broke? This is 3 years.
Realistic. How many
You're
wrenches?
not realistic.
Mike,
How many-
if
In
you-
fact, I'm incredulous as to your level of incredulity, Mike.
yeah, I
This
agree.
is second level incredulity.
Have you guys ever had an adjustable wrench? That's like 20 wrenches in one. Just bring that.
Mike, I'm telling you this as a friend. Rather than literal, your adjustable wrench is a piece of figurative shit, and you should get a proper set of wrenches.
I'm saying if my wrenches are breaking all the time, then I brought bad wrenches.
So
How do you
Mike,
get so excited about space, and yet this is just like not turning your crank?
I don't get excited about space, actually.
Mike, it sounds like you need a wrench because your crank is very hard to turn right now. Okay, Mike, you
Swallowed
need
the coffee.
the most important thing when you're in space is like the ability to adapt to emergency situations or things that come up because you don't have a meaningful supply of extra stuff. Like every pound of payload you bring up is really important. And obviously you need food for the astronauts to be able to eat and to be able to keep themselves alive. But you can't necessarily bring a bunch of wrenches just in case, like just,
You need to just forget the wrenches.
yeah.
I would bring 2 adjustable wrenches. That's it.
It's about anything. It's like this isn't like Nick said, the wrench and the screwdriver are proofs of concept. If you have a 3D printer and you have a biological source of material that you know you're going to either be freezing the poop or you can try to turn it into 3D printable plastic, why wouldn't you try to come up with some way to use that material?
So how long does it take for the bacteria to metabolize the poop, turn it into plastic,
You're nitpicking.
Yeah,
form
You're
the
still nitpicking.
critical details? It's not nitpicking.
It's
No,
a
but the whole
proof of
point,
concept.
it's viable. It's a thing that does work. That's what they were trying to prove.
I appreciate it for the engineering competition project that it was.
Just be proud of your alma mater and just let that be the end of it.
Mhm.
I'm plenty proud of my alma mater.
Mike, I think you're being undeservedly pessimistic about this. And the wrenches you've been using are clearly made out of some kind of superhuman material because tools break.
What tools break? Name
Espe-
one tool of yours that has broken.
I can think of many tools that have
Name
broken.
one.
Mike,
Name one.
my wrench. My wrench broke. I don't.
I do not believe you.
Mike, one of the things that you do as a astronaut is you do spacewalks. You take a wrench or whatever out into the freezing cold of space with no air and torque really hard on stuff that is also really cold.
Wait,
Like
did you say torque or twerk?
both. the
This is space twerking. You could lose all kinds of stuff while you're space twerking.
This is a situation that's conducive to things breaking. You need backups. Like the whole point of NASA is you need backups
It's
for
true.
everything.
You need to back it up when you're space twerking.
I don't understand why you are not seeing the viability of like the usefulness of having a tool that can print material in space from like you don't have to bring plastic feedstock up. You're able to use a feedstock you already have there.
Let me try and put this a little differently for you, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Say I'm out doing oil exploration in a really, really, really remote part of the world.
Nick,
And I only got to bring.
Don't Alberta explain this to me.
I think I'm east-splaining because I'm explaining the concept of remote drilling in Alberta to an Albert who works in the drilling industry. So say I'm out doing oil exploration somewhere and my wide tooth comb breaks. And Mike,
That sounds awful.
I don't know if you're familiar with the burden that is this luscious head of curly hair that I have. But if I don't have a wide tooth comb, this doesn't happen. This looks awful. And say I need a wide tooth comb if I'm going to be successful, because I mean you got to look your best to do your best, right? So say I need that wide tooth comb. What am I going to do? Do I request an airdrop just for that one wide tooth comb that I need to have my hair look its luscious best? Or do I 3D print one after an undetermined amount of time using poop? What do you do, Mike? What do you do?
You've convinced me, Nick. Thank you for putting it into perspective for me. That really helped.
All right. Well, I think we can pinch off the rest of this story and move on. Someone put in here that they wanted to have an after show about Pokemon Go. Do you guys want to do that? Or like, I don't feel like there's much to say about Pokemon Go other than just be excited about what's happened in the last couple
I'm loving
weeks.
the weather system. I'm loving Groudon. I'm not loving Groudon. We could talk about that in an after show environment.
Okay. Well, let's do that now.
Mm-hmm.
Nick, I think you're the only one that's caught one, so you should probably lead this.
Okay, so I got a Groudon. It knows Mud Shot and Fire Blast because I don't want to chase Earthquake yet. But Mike, I'm curious as to what you have to say about this. Mike, do you have 2 ears in or just the one?
I had one. I was just scratching my ear.
No, like, could you still hear me? What I was saying there?
Yeah.
Okay. That's important because I feel like you're the most interested in this. I'm not really all that sold on legendaries. So I'd almost rather use my Rhydon as a ground attacker for the stab ground moves because I, I, I put so much effort into getting those and I like them.
Mm-hmm.
And Groudon's super cool, but I mean, it's also like people using Solar Beam Ho-Oh or Solar Beam Groudon for things. It's like just use Exeggutor. He gets stab. Like it's gonna generate more damage. And
Maybe.
yeah, I think Exeggutor's Solar Beam is secure as the lead grass or the lead Solar Beam in the game. I think he still outperforms Ho-Oh, but I'm not sure about Groudon details.
I think the difference is when you have the legendaries with the off-type moves, a lot of the time their stats, their superior stats offset the lack of stab, and then their total damage output is still better than the alternatives that do get stab, because often grass attackers especially, they're not typically very tanky.
How dare you, Sprouts? Sprouts is a regular dreadnought.
The other aspect is that they get the favorable defensive resistances in a lot of those matchups as well. So
Yeah.
so like going on what you're saying about legendaries, I'm kind of the same way. Like I powered up a Raikou and a Zapdos because of course. And
Because you are Lieutenant Surge.
yeah, exactly. Uh but after that, like I'm catching these other legendaries. I'm like, if I powered all these other ones up, I could basically put together a top 6 that would be usable in any sort of situation. But I don't like that because I like having to strategically pick my attackers and, find the favorable matchups with the ones that I've invested time and whatever into, not just this legendary is the best, like Groudon, right? Like I have a handful of Rhydons that I've used against Entei. I haven't really used them for much. I guess Raikou as well.
Yeah.
And but if I just use a bunch of like freshly caught Groudons instead, every time I encountered like an electric or a fire attacker, that's to me that's boring. Like that's I don't know. I and this is only the start. Like the legendaries are going to continue all the way through Gen 3 with like the rest of the dragon and fairy legendaries and whatnot, and all the rest of the other gens. And like you're just going to lose any sort of diversity at all. Like everyone's just going to be using the same legendaries and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not so much my worry that like of where the game is going, but I think another argument here is the diminishing returns. Like I powered up Zapdos because we are all on the very best, the underdog, team instinct.
Mm.
And that's my motto. Or that's not my motto. That's my you know what? Just still haven't had enough coffee. But Zappy Bird I powered up because as much as I like using Jolteon, that thing is glassy. And so when I've got a Gyarados, it's nice to have the option of using Zapdos. But it took so many rare candy. And it like I started walking my Ho-Oh when I got it because I thought, maybe it'd actually do some Machamp soloing with this thing. But it's a 20-kilometer candy. And that's such a slow power-up process. Like, and the time it takes me to get one candy for Ho-Oh, I could get 4 candies and possibly a power-up for my highest level Tyranitar.
Yep.
Well, you're also better off doing soloable raids and just getting rare candy that way,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like in 20 kilometers, you could do that in maybe like 4 days, 3 days if you hustle, 2 days if you really hustle. Uh, Whereas you can just do any raid and get a couple candy, right? So I think while also walking something that you'd otherwise get candy for faster, right? So I think there's a lot of lost opportunity high opportunity cost, I guess, of walking a legendary. Like I think the 20 kilometers is like you're not supposed to walk this thing.
Yeah.
That's like as high as they'd go before just saying you can't walk it, right?
Yeah. At the same time, though, like, I mean, with the advent of rare candies, I have started using rare candy just because I don't have the inventory space. So I have started using rare candy to power things up that I want powered up. So I think I was getting close to 200. So I used about, I don't know, whatever, so that I had 100 rare candies again. And now I'm up to 177, and I'm seriously thinking about maxing out some things. Also, I maxed out my now waterfall hydro pump Gyarados, and oh man, that thing was a champ against Groudon. It was beautiful. But what was I talking about?
Rare candy.
Yeah. So I mean, it's so resource intensive to power up the legendaries. Whereas you could get the same strategic, well, not exactly the same, but you could get similar strategic benefit from just powering up pseudo legendaries or the regular Pokemon that are still good. It just, yeah. That said, I will say that an argument I support for legendaries is one made on Reddit with Ample Salt. It had examples of like 4 good ride-ons, and they said, these ride-ons represent all of my playing since the game started. Like, to get these high IV ride-ons and evolve them and power them up. Whereas he has 4 Groudons just from like an hour of playing somewhere. He said, is this actually good? But I mean, that means if a player were to start today and catch those Groudon, like, they're not completely shut out of the game. They can actually be competitively viable.
Can I ask an Ash question?
Please do.
If you're at level 5, do you raid a level 5 Pokemon or do you raid a level 20?
You get a 20. Like Wake is level 20.
So it's different than eggs, because eggs you only get your level.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right. And further, with weather boosted Pokemon, a sub level 30 player can get a level 35 Pokemon.
Wait,
say that again? A sub level 30? No, because it's only 5 levels above your max. That's what I thought it was.
Is it?
I think so.
I might be wrong, but like there were examples of sub level 35 players getting level 35 Pokemon.
My understanding was that it rolled for your normal spawn and then added 5 to that.
Okay, I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think that's what I've seen and heard too. But
that makes
again,
sense,
I'm only coming from the max perspective.
So like the weather boost stuff does allow for you to get more competitively viable Pokemon without having had ground for a year.
Yeah. The one thing that I will say, I saw that Rhydon comparison, and all you would need now is a day with either sunny or partly cloudy weather, and you could still catch several high-powered Rhyhorns and just evolve them. Like, it wouldn't be that hard to do. I've been doing that with Machamps since weather came out. Like, now I have 7 high CP Machamps. Like,
I actually need to do that more and actually get them to have, double fighting moves.
Yeah.
We're gonna duo those Tyrannitars, Mike. Just you wait.
But fully expecting it.
Yeah.
But I hope that this new effort to have lower level players have access, or just more casual players even have access to the higher powered, stronger Pokemon, is either a change to the gym system, which either modifies or eliminates the CP decay, so that gyms are actually somewhat of a, I don't even say challenge, but at least not just walk up and spend 3 minutes running through it 1 or 2 times.
Mhm.
So that, because that was the whole thing, is that the towers that were around before the rework, that it was just inaccessible for casual players to participate in, which I totally understand. And I think the change on that end is good, but I think they went a bit too far the other way as far as making them just non-competitive altogether. But if they can have it so that you have, the limit of 6 Pokemon, the, rule of having unique Pokemon so you can't duplicate, but just have no CP decay, then the casual players who are catching these weather boosted and rated Pokemon are still able to participate effectively in that system.
Mm.
Because if someone has like, a level 20, a handful of level 20 legendaries and raid bosses, they should be able to take down a gym, right?
Mhm.
So I'm hoping that that's the case. Same with like PvP, right? If the more casual players have a handful of stronger Pokemon that they can play with other players, then that's hopefully what they're kind of gearing up for making all these stronger Pokemon accessible to more
Yeah.
people.
I could see that. Although I agree with you, Mike. Although the one thing about the new gym system that I like is the limit on species duplication.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. I think
Yeah.
that was a good change.
Because I remember the level 10 Blissey towers that just like
Yeah.
Kaya and I would both go, and we'd get to like the 6th Blissey and be just done.
Yeah.
Took forever.
It is interesting because I'm in a very different position than I was under the old gym system. Like I've now progressed in the game a lot further. So now even if I have like 15 minutes to spare and I'm sitting there somewhere near a gym,
Speaking of casual players,
I can go and I can take down a level 40 Blissey, even if it's at full, like it hasn't decayed. I can go and take it down easily. Whereas before, if it was above 3,000 CP, I would have a real difficult time taking it down, like with the 99-second limit.
The moveset shuffle also helped with that because they boosted a lot of the fighting type moves.
Yeah.
Made fighting type stronger. Whereas like before, the best counters to like a high powered Blissey would be like
Gyarados.
or Dragonite or something, right?
Right.
Well, if she had Dazzling Gleam, though,
get screwed. But well, I mean, fighting types is the same from that. But
Yeah.
before, like it is a lot more level.
Yeah.
To take down these things. Same with like Snorlax. Snorlax used to be like
Snorlax too. Yeah.
To take down, but now like a lot of the Pokemon have gotten a lot stronger, so
yeah,
it's easier to take them down.
Yeah. I don't know what Lapras's weaknesses are, but that's another example where if I had a tower that was like that had a bunch of Blissey and Snorlax and Lapras, like they were always, I was just like, oh my gosh, how do I cover all of these? Whereas now it's not an issue, even if they are fully powered.
And the moveset shuffle assisted in taking down Lapras too, because, well, that was more the stat shuffle, which made electric attackers actually viable, but also the moveset shuffle because Ice is weak to fighting.
Right.
Yeah.
Machamp is the champ.
Cool.
And now Hariyama as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is actually fun because I actually knew of Hariyama from Pokemon Moon because Hariyama would repeatedly cause me troubles.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I really like the weather stuff. I just need to say that.
Yeah, the weather was a nice variation. It feels like you don't almost don't need to go to nests anymore.
Yeah.
Like the nests kind of come to you in a sense.
And
it'd be nice if they changed the types of common spawns though. Like there's way too many Skitty that are spawning.
I think that depends on where you are though.
It does.
Like I don't see that many Skitty. And also whenever normal types are boosted, I love having so many Eevees around because I always need those Eevee candy. Yeah, no, I'm loving the weather. The one thing I have seen criticism of is like, oh, there are too many Vulpix. And it's like, man, each of those Vulpix is 129 or 125 Stardust.
Yeah.
Just take the Stardust, man.
Yeah.
This is all about. There's
Yeah,
no
exactly.
point in caring about anything else.
Yeah, like there's too many Rattata. Well, yeah, of course there are.
I just wasted like 60,000 Stardust taking Gyarados from like level 30, what, 35 to 39.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Nick, when you mentioned that, when you said I maxed out my Gyarados, I was like, you actually still need 30 more candy to max it out once you hit level 38.
Details.
Because it's yeah, I've actually fully maxed out to level 42 Pokemon now, and once you get to that point, it's extremely
Is
expensive.
it level 42 or level 40?
Is it
Level
40,
40 as well. Sorry.
40
Yes.
comma 2?
Oh, okay.
Which ones have you maxed out?
Jolteon and Machamp.
Nice.
That's it. Very short list. Because it does take to go from 39 to 40, it takes 30 candy and like 20,000 Stardust.
I'm so ready to have Sprouts be level 40. Be all
Yeah.
that he can be.
Yeah.
Me too.
Except not, because he doesn't have the power he does in the main series games, but like whatever.
Yeah.
I don't
So-
miss Leech Seed at all. Or Giga Drain. It's fine.
So for the starter Pokemon advantage.
What's that?
I'm still holding out for the starter Pokemon advantage.
Yeah, me too.
Persevere.
They didn't track it. It's not going to happen. How?
Maybe they didn't track it.
They
I
know
guarantee you they don't know.
which Pokemon you caught first, I'm sure.
I mean, I guess they could reverse engineer it, but they don't. They haven't been keeping track of that. They haven't been keeping track. They may be able to find out, but they'd have no way of keeping track of it. Like they're not. This is not a long game where eventually they're gonna like they've been saving this up and they're gonna eventually make it important.
You shut your filthy mouth, Rob.
I hate to break it to you, but it's just true.
Sprouts and the 600 kilometers and like 7 TMs he got. It's all been worth it. All worth it.
If you say so.
Oh yeah, he wrecks Blissey. He's not vulnerable to Dazzling Gleam. It's beautiful.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to make the executive decision that we'll wrap up. We'll go offline for the week. And we'll have some fun.